And we're off for the third match of today's Event Cup. Both teams have warped in at about 50 kilometers range, all in big clusters. The match will be starting shortly here, but I imagine we'll see some damage applied almost immediately from the Power Ducks team, while the Cadow Shartel team will have to wait for their drones to get in position.
Yeah, as Rick Scout was alluding to, the drones getting in position will take a minute, and then Kasig Cook in his Hyperion also has that large smart bomb, which will do wonders at clearing off the amount of drones that be on grid. Now, importantly, those won't help if it's sentry drones that the Dominics and the Prophecy deploy, but I'm expecting we'll see some mobile drones instead.
Right, the match will start here in a few seconds, just shortly. It's interesting that the Power Ducks have picked a Hyperion to complement their mostly long-range damage team, as it's one of the heavier brawlers. And they're off, with Cadow Shartel's tackle burning a wide circle around.
One thing I thought we might see, and we're seeing it now, that Hyperion is holding up his MJD. He's going to try to land on top of the hostile team at 0. And he's landed maybe about 15-20 kilometers off of that auger. If he can get tackle on him, that's going to be critical. Already we're seeing damage on that auger, and a grappler has been applied.
Well, that's interesting, as that's the micro jump drive play that really would have only worked out if both teams had chosen to warp in at the appropriate ranges. Now we'll see here, because the Prophecy and Dominics both have rep drones that they can use to help keep the auger alive, whether Power Ducks' damage will be enough to power through that tank.
As you're alluding to earlier, Requiescat, Kasig Cook wants to run that smart bomb full off and clear off those rep drones that don't have a lot of buffer. Once that happens, the auger is going to go down almost immediately thereafter. The auger is Hyperion.
And he's going into deep armor now with, well, it's like very little help on the way. Those drones are on him, but they're just taking the slightest ticks back against the incredible damage of the Power Ducks team.
Yep, the auger now into low hull, and he's just popping immediately. The only damage really on the Power Duck side has gone on to the Caracal, who's in about half shields, but he's kiting away perfectly fine. Now that Hyperion has gotten tackle on top of the Prophecy at 0, and without the auger to support him, the Prophecy shouldn't survive that much longer either.
It'll be interesting to see if Cadow Shartel can get any trade kills on this, because it looks like their Prophecy's dying and their Algos as well is dipping into deep hull, and he'll be dead here very shortly.
Yeah, just going back to that micro jump drive play, I think that was really their win condition. The pilot in the Hyperion Kasig Cook saw that both teams were in at exactly 100, so he wasted no time in aligning his ship exactly to where he thought the enemy team would burn to. Spooled up the micro jump drive, landed 15 kilometers, which is perfectly in range of your grappler, and got on top of the logistics, which was the exact right call to make.
And it's really fortunate for them that he did manage to land that micro jump drive play, because without that, they would have had very little opportunity to apply all of their damage from the Naga, the Caracal, and the Talwar. While they've got great range, it's not the most powerful of damage, and then they've only got the Punisher in addition to the Hyperion for any sort of screening or tackle.
Yeah, I think Requiescat is definitely right. Had that not landed, Shadow Cartel, or Snuffbox team, Cadow Shartel rather, might have been able to kite away with their team for the rest of the match, but Kasig Cook wasn't willing to let that happen.
And I'm not entirely sure their team was very well configured to kite away either, because they brought all heavy armored drone ships. It looks like Tyler Bourbon's going to score a return kill on the Caracal here, so that their team doesn't go out completely without a bang.
Yeah, Requiescat brings up an interesting point. I'm not exactly sure why, if you're in a heavy armor fleet, that you would come in at 50 kilometers. Traditionally, we see that more for kiting teams that want to get their application, but for slower armor cruisers and battle cruisers, there's no real reason to come in at maximum range. You want to be able to burn and get tackle on your targets in a quicker time frame before your opponents can burn away in those kiting ships and pull range from you for the rest of the match.
But then that doesn't seem to have mattered too much. Now the ships that Cadow Shartel all brought, they all have micro warp drives, and they can move at some speed, but nowhere nearly enough to control range against the Power Ducks team. I think you're right. I think they would have been better off warping in at 0 and dropping their drones and just all approaching in a little cluster reminiscent of the old Tinker tanks we used to have in the AT.
Yeah, we can see that this Naga and the Talwar are just happily at range, plinking away at this Dominix, and the Dominix isn't going to get away. He's grappled still. The Hyperion, keeping speed with him. Probably should close a little bit more range, but we've got some good fights in local. Cadow Shartel realizes that this is more or less over. And now the Dominix is going to start bleeding into Hull here.
All in all, a very well played match by the Power Ducks team, with their 1 in a million Hail Mary play working out just due to Cadow Shartel warping in at a really, I would call it an inappropriate range for their comp, and the Hyperion being able to land that micro jump and knock their Augurer out very early. So very well played to them, and good fight to everyone involved.
Yeah, Kesa Cook definitely the MVP of this match, moving Power Ducks into the quarterfinals of this tournament.
And with that, the match is over, and we'll hand it back to you in the studio.